We are responsible about our choices. We are not responsible about the situations we go through. And God did not argue with the devil. He agreed this man is righteous. He went through one of the worst seasons of his life. But the Bible leaves it with some good news. At the end of his life, God repaid him 7 times fold. And therefore I want to believe somebody's harvest season is coming. Are you with me? So there is a harvest season, and it will surely come. Don't give up. Don't sign defeat. Don't obliterate. Don't black out. Keep on keeping on. Life is made of seasons. What we need to know is to learn the lesson in every season. You see, you could have lost a job, but that could mean that God wants to take you to your purpose in life, and you are too comfortable in that job. You could lose a relationship, but that could mean your mission in life requires more independence. And I've seen a lot of couples who have destroyed each other's missions. And there are many people who had to separate for them to achieve their God-given destiny. And I'm not advocating divorce. But is that a fact?
It's true.
You know, you could, I met a friend of mine who was hospitalized. We went with Mercy. He had just gotten a car accident. We were together in college. His legs were fractured, his hand was fractured. He was an extremely busy person, very hardworking, supporting his family. And you need to pause and learn the reason for living. And even perhaps look for your true north and your purpose for existence. The good news is, every season will come to pass. Number 4. Are you there?
Yes.
Don't lose your cool. Don't lose your cool. When you're going through very difficult seasons, don't lose your cool. A lot of people lose it. They lose it into drug and substance abuse. They lose it into alcoholism. They lose it into abusive relationships. We've heard stories of mothers in Kenya who've decided to kill their own children when they're dying away. That's losing it. That's reacting to life. Perhaps one of the most quoted and celebrated people who had to choose his attitude at his darkest hour is Dr. Viktor Frankl, one of the escapee and survivors of the darkest Holocaust in the history of mankind from Nazi Germany. He said, and I quote, "One of the greatest freedoms man has been given is that no one can force you to choose your attitudes at any given situation." You know, the wife of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the only U.S. president to have ruled for more than 2 terms courtesy of the war and the Great Depression, was constantly enjoyed by the media, purporting she was not an attractive woman, she was not good looking. And at some point, she decided to convene a media conference and speak back. "Nobody can make me feel inferior without my permission." That's a powerful way of looking at it. Only you can choose to be inferior. Any other person, you give them the permission. If you recall, she had gotten a baby as a teenager, but she refused to lose it. And she ended up doing the best talk show in the history of mankind. And until 2 years ago, when a Nigerian woman is argued to have overtaken her, she has been the richest woman in the world. A friend of mine, Terry Mugai, the owner of Ashley's, got a baby when she was in Form 4. And I have her permission for sharing her story, don't worry about that. And at some point she got a job and then lost it, and she was told she can't be employed, she doesn't have a college degree. She challenged the management, give me a chance. And don't pay me, give me a chance. And then let's compare ourselves with those of you who have degrees. And true to our own prediction, from the very first month, she outdid them. And finally ended up being their manager. But then the bank collapsed, when the banks were collapsing in Kenya's history of the 90s. But she turned that lemon into a lemonade and got a chance to start Ashley's, which is now a chain of successful salon businesses. Fight. So I suggest, don't react during those difficult situations. Remember, reacting is negative, responding is positive. If you go to a doctor and the doctor says, "Hey, we're going to change your prescription," your body is reacting on the treatment. You get nervous because react is negative. If, however, the doctor says your body is responding to the treatment, you relax because response is positive. And you can choose the circumstance because circumstances don't define you. You define them. God forbid. If at the end of this seminar tonight, someone hits your car and you get so upset and scream at them, "Oh shit!" You didn't say that because they hit you. You say that because a lot of shit dwells in your heart. The hitting of the car just revealed the shit and the amount of shit. So after this meeting, please shout at the top of your voice, "Oh, sugar!" Because I'm trying to store some sugar in your heart. Circumstances don't define you. They reveal who you are. Marriage doesn't solve any problem. It reveals your inadequacies. Marriage doesn't make you happy. Nobody is responsible for your happiness. You are. Job, money, good business will not make you happy. You choose to be happy. Happiness is a choice. That doesn't mean you're not going through challenges, but you choose at any single season to focus on the harvest. Are you with me? Yes. Let's proceed. Number 5. Are you there? Number 5? Yes. During difficult moments, be in the company of winners, not whiners. In difficult situations, be in the company of winners, not whiners. And I say this because we have interesting people around us. And unfortunately, the overwhelming majority of people around us are complainers. And they will help you sing that song of pity. And you join a party of singing about how things went astray. It is true, you are the main actor in your life. Today, the 4th of December, I am part of your story, but you're the main actor. This is your story. God, for some reason, chose you to spend time here tonight so that I form part of your story. My role, for some of us, will continue. For some of you, maybe it's only today you came. Maybe we'll not meet again. The only part that I was to play in your story was only this 1-hour interaction. Yes, some friends were brought to God by you for a reason, and the reason may be over. It's time to move on. Some friends were brought to you for a season, and the season may be over. It is time to move on. That doesn't mean they're bad people. Absolutely not. It only means they are all in your play. It's over. And you need to learn that because you cannot perform in a manner that is inconsistent with your level of association. Your level of association will determine your destiny. You cannot perform in a manner that is not consistent with the people around you. It has been proven statistically that you're an average of your 3 best friends. So if everyone around you is below you, whether you're conscious or not, you're on your way down. In fact, I suggest this. If you meet people who are complainers and whiners, who are saying how things are so thick in Kenya for the next 5 years, who are saying how things are so thick in my family, my business, don't walk away from them. Run away from them. Be in the company of winners, not winners. You know, when the Americans were trying to fight with the British soldiers in those days, Britain was a superpower. Nobody had dared such a huge army and air force. Under the leadership of George Washington, in the thick dungeons of winter, with crude weapons that were not as equipped as the British soldiers, they decided to fight. There were many people in those days, but let me tell you this. The American people erected a statue in honor of one man, Patrick Henry. And he was the first governor of independent US of Virginia. And it's because of his stand during the war. He said that I could. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. And because they stood, America got her independence. God hates murmurers. You know, in every dark situation, there is always a way out. If you tune your mind to see possibilities. You've heard it said 1,000,001 times, if you believe you can, or you believe you can't, you are right. You can tune your mind to see possibilities or to see obstacles. Losers perceive challenges and dark seasons as barriers on their way up. Winners, on the other hand, perceive obstacles and challenges as stepping stones on their way up. While losers perceive them as stopping stones, winners perceive them as stepping stones. And more often than not, challenges come to take us to the next level. There is an animal by the name mule, M-U-L-E. It's a hybrid of a horse and a donkey. You know, scientifically it cannot reproduce. And it's such a stubborn animal that no matter how much you whip it, it just won't get out. It's that stubborn. It won't just get out. For you to get it moving, what the owners will do is to light some fire near its belly. And it jumps at a speed you could not guess when fire comes near it. And sometimes God brings fire near us for us to get into our mission. You know, in ancient Palestine, the shepherds would lead the sheep from the front. At some point, there will be a stray sheep that disobeys the voice of the shepherd. The creative shepherds would deliberately break her leg, fracture it, and then bandage it so that it begins the healing process. During that moment, the sheep cannot walk. It has to be lifted up, carried for several weeks, almost 3 months. What is happening during that moment is going through healing, but even more importantly, it is going through a body process with the shepherd. Once that sheep is released, it becomes the closest friend to the shepherd. At times I'm tempted to think God brings us to come closer to Him. And we become closer to Him than anyone else. I read something in our WhatsApp, and I think those of us who are not in our WhatsApp group, let me tell you this, I see a lot of inspirations. It's better here in our midst. Life is like the highway. When you get into the highway, you notice some cars ahead of you. You notice some cars behind you. Some cars will move faster than yours because they're designed that way. Then at some point, each one of us listening to me here has been tempted to overtake another car to prove that your car is doomed. For the Americans who listen to us one day, Dume is a Kenyan word for a brave person. All right, here we go. And then you're shocked that the fellow exits the next junction. Your rush was in vain. Does that happen? Yes. Then you realize that some people's journey was only 20 kilometers, and ours was 200 kilometers. And it is true, God has a race set for each of us. We have to focus on the race set before us. But if your car, and it's true, you'll actually move at 150 kilometers per hour, and suddenly from nowhere, a compressor passes you at 240 kilometers per hour. Let him go. Let him go. He's having a compressor. You're having a tuk-tuk. Let him go. Because you might crash trying to compete with him, isn't it? Let him go. You know, Mr. Moridi here is a friend of mine for so many years, and we have worked so closely. One day he actually called me and used this word, son. I don't know why he thought of telling me that. Don't compete with anyone on the road. And I want to give him a hand for that. By the way, this is about 5 years ago. If she doesn't have to go barabara, I don't know why he chose to tell me that. Can I tell you the bad news? After that, I rolled. And I stopped. It's true. We were in Sicilia, coming from Nakuru. And we rolled, and it was a write-off. Total write-off. Total write-off. That's why you have to listen to the advice of our seniors. We rolled 7 times. Anyway, we're not competing. On a lighter note. We're not competing with anyone. But that was a good advice. He gave me very early. Number 6. When going through difficult situations, ignite the creative power within you. Ignite the creative power within you. Are you number 6? Yes. Ignite the creative power within you. Let me tell you this. You have more power, more energy than you imagine. You are wiser than you imagine. You are more resilient than you imagine. There is a scientific law known as the law of self-preservation. It's an interesting law. It suggests this. If you hit a cat to that wall, and you want to kill a cat, what the cat will do is a quick analysis and realize that you are a softer spot than the wall. Even if you kick away a child from your house who is only 3 months old, 3 months, they will fight to their last breath. They will not just die. And kids have been collected from pigs. Is that true? The way we are fashioned and created by God, there is something within every creature, plants or animals, to preserve itself. And this is very evident in the animal kingdom. The challenge begins with human beings when they mature. Kids will fight to their bitter end. They will not pretend to be dead. They don't die until they die. Unfortunately, with many adults, they died long ago, but they have not made it official. So here we go. The law of self-preservation. You keep fighting to the very end. Albert Einstein said it this way. Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. Those of you who are football fans, you might recall that in the last World Cup, Neymar had a spinal cord injury that was so bad. But today, he's still in the top 5 list of the best footballers. He decided to reignite the fire within him. You won't believe this. I was given the story of Neymar by my son Zeke. That made me to try to think more about this character. Many of you know the story of Thomas Edison. And most of you can even quote that at some point he was working on an air condenser line. The story is told one experiment after another dismal failure. About 999 experiments. And the reporter asked him, what's your feeling? Having failed 999 times. Most of you know the response he replied. I didn't fail 999 times, but I found out 999 ways in which it won't work. Now, let me tell you what you may not know about this character, Thomas Edison. He never went to high school, just like Henry Ford. He was working with engineers. He was the greatest inventor of the last century with no high school education. But he had a vision, he had a dream. At some point when he was 66 years of age, his entire factory went on flames, burnt up. He called the younger Charles, his son, to come and witness the sight. Then he thought that's not enough.